Hey guys, Jess Modaff here, and I'm the pianist from this YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining me on this crazy fun journey that is musical theater, and for joining me today because we're going to be talking about Dear Evan Hansen. I'm specifically going to be talking about a song from Dear Evan Hansen called Waving Through a Window, and I want to address those of you who have been using a transposed version specifically for female voice. You may have noticed if you use a transposed version of this song, the bridge may be a little bit difficult to sing exactly the same as is done in the original recording. And the reason for this is because male voices and female voices are different, and sometimes if you try to translate from the opposite gender to our own, it may not work so well. So I'm going to provide one solution for you. There are other solutions, but this is certainly one of them. If you're having a hard time finding your way through the bridge, this is going to be one way for you to navigate around that. The bridge starts with the lyrics, "When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound?" And that happens 4 times. Figuring out your starting pitches for each line is going to be the key to victory. So the bridge has a chord that comes right before it. It sounds like this. Do you hear that note? That's the most important note of the chord. And that's going to be your starting note. So if you're a lady, it's going to be the lower part of your range. When you're falling. So here's what it would sound like. When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? So that's the first line. The second line, you're going to take the note that you just left off with, when you're falling, and you're going to go up just a little ways with your voice. It's a third. When you're falling, it sounds like this. When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? For the third line, use the same note that you left off with, but now you're going to go higher. When you're falling, and it'll sound like this. When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? And for the last line, you're also going to go up high when you're falling, but now you're going to stay in the higher part of your voice here. When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? All right, so what I'm going to do now is do this in context, starting with the chord that comes right before the bridge, so you can hear your starting note, and you can hear all 4 of those lines. Here's what it would sound like. When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? It's like I never made a sound. Will I ever make a sound? So that's how I would handle the bridge if you are a lady and trying to use the transposed version of Waving Through a Window. Figure out another option if this one doesn't quite seem right for you. But in all things, we're just trying to practice and work out alternatives that work the best for us. So thanks for joining me on this really fun journey, and if you guys have any other suggestions for tutorials that I can give you, please leave those in the comments. Otherwise, enjoy singing and have a great day.